Okay, this is just a little review video of the notebook quiz we took, 7172, factoring quadratics and application. So number one was pretty much just a calculator problem. So you just wanted to make sure to go into your calculator and graph y equals x times 100 minus x. And just make sure you set up the window appropriately. And again, just to kind of talk about that real quick. You want to make sure your x maximum when you go into window on the calculator is going to go out to a 120 for this, and then the 2800 was the y maximum. Okay, and when you go ahead and plot that, you could find on the calculator the maximum coordinates was when x was 50, the y value, just go into the table, was 2500. Okay, so somewhere around there, and that ended up being the maximum. Okay, and then I remember when x is 100, the y value is 0, and when x is 0, the y value is 0. And then it kind of just did something like this, and of course you could be a little more accurate, but something like that. So the maximum, of course, is the vertex, and the key there is that the x value, they told us the x value is actually the length of the rectangle. So the x is the length that was given to us in the question. And the y value is actually the area, and it's really that is the maximum possible area is 2500. The x value just happens to be the length that would get you that area. So it's not the max length. Okay, the max length could go all the way up to 100 up here, but 50 is like the optimal length. And then to get to 2100, the only methods we really knew at this point was to use the table. There is going to be a way to solve it. Basically, they're saying when y is 2100, find the x values. But just looking at the table, you could see when x was equal to 30, the y was 2100. And also, if x were 70, the y was 2100. Okay, so for now, using the table was really our only option. Okay, probably the more important material from these sections is the factoring, and we're using that to actually solve equations in the next section that we're working on. But just some ideas and some tips for factoring. Again, when it starts out like number 2, and again, there were 2 versions to the quiz. Both had similar types of problems, so you may have different numbers, but the concept should match up if you had ID 2. But anyways, so in one's like number 2, when it's just a 1x squared plus 12x plus 32, really all we're looking for are factors of 32. So I want to find what times what equals 32, but I need them to add up to this positive 12 here. So options for 32, you have 8 times 4, right? So 8 times 4 is going to be the one that works because that adds up to 12. Those add up to 12. And then this one you can just really put in the factors in the parentheses, x plus 8 times x plus 4. And that would be factored. Okay, and you can always check factoring again by distributing or foiling it out. So I'd encourage you guys to do that. Okay, number 3 then, this one was a little different. There was only 2 terms there, and they actually have a common factor. So I'm asking myself, what goes into 6x squared and into 30x? And the biggest or greatest common factor is 6x. And then the issue is, what is the other factor? What would you multiply 6x by to get these factors back? So to get 6x squared, if we only had 6x on the outside, I would need another factor of x. Okay, because you can see if you distribute 6x times x, you'll get 6x squared. And then to get the minus 30x, if I have a 6x out front, I would just need to multiply by a minus 5, okay, because the 6x distributing to the minus 5 would get us minus 30x, and that's always a way to check it, so that would be the final answer there. Okay, number 4, a little bit more involved. Since we have that 4x squared at the beginning, that's the a value there is 4. We can't do it like we did number 2. Okay, we can't just get factors of negative 10 that add up to negative 3. So with the trick, and what I suggest doing is multiplying this a times the c value. So the 4 times negative 10 will get us negative 40. And we're going to split that up into factors that add up to negative 3. Okay, so we're using negative 40. So what times what equals negative 40, but the factors add up to negative 3? So I'm thinking 8s and 5s. 8 times 5 is 40. If I make the 8 negative and the 5 positive, those would add up to our middle term of negative 3x. So what we're going to do is we're going to rewrite this problem, splitting up this middle term into minus 8x and plus 5x. Okay, I just used those exact numbers to split up the middle term into, again, negative 8x plus 5x. And what that lets us do now is that we have 4 terms here, and we can use the grouping method and kind of factor this problem. Okay, so the first 2 terms, 4x squared minus 8x, I know they have a common factor of 4x. And just like we did with number 3, the leftover factor, the other factor, would need to be x minus 2. And then the second factor, the second group, the 5x minus 10, they share a factor of 5, and there's a plus in the middle, so plus 5 is a common factor on the outside, times, and it's going to be x minus 2 also. Okay, imagine distributing that 5 to those terms. You would get 5x and minus 10. And then that's what we wanted to have happen, because now they each share an x minus 2, and when there's a common factor, like x minus 2 or whatever it is, you can bring that out front. And the leftover factors, the leftover terms are the 4x plus 5. Okay, and that would be totally factored. That would be the final answer. Okay, number 5, very similar to number 2. Okay, and again, the difference is that when there's just a 1 out front, you do not need to do the grouping and split the middle term. You can still do that method. You just don't have to. So in this case, it would just end up being factors of the negative 54. We need them to add up to positive 3. So 9 times 6 is 54. If they add to positive, I need the 9 to be positive. And then the minus 6, the 6 would be negative. Okay, and let me just do one more problem. There was one on the other version that's definitely a good problem to know how to do. And that would be something like n squared minus 49. Okay, so let's just call that number 6, pretend that was on there. It's on the other version. And that one's similar to the one we just did. And sometimes you can think of it as having a 0 n in the middle. Okay, that's just one way some people think about it. And now it's similar where we're looking for factors of the negative 49, but they need to add up to 0. So n plus 7 and n minus 7 are the factors of negative 49. They add up to 0. And this method, that little special case, works when both of the original terms are perfect squares. Okay, like n squared is really just n squared, and 49, of course, is 7 squared. And when there's a minus sign in the middle there, it ends up working out that your answer is going to have one will be a positive and one will be a negative, so that they'll multiply to be negative. But again, they do add up to the 0 in the middle. Okay, so I hope that helped. Keep working on the factoring, and it does show up in a lot of other places as well. So big, important skill. All right.